Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football, welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well today. This is your match preview for RB Salzburg versus Chelsea Champions League group stage, and there's a chance here for Chelsea to finish top of the group if we get 3 points. We've got to remember the past fixture at the Bridge, it finished 1-1. That was Graham Potter's first game in charge, and it didn't quite go to plan. We looked like we weren't really up for it, or at least we thought we were, and then we let everything go later on in the second half. And we can't let that happen again. That was my frustration against Man United. Against Man United, it wasn't necessarily in case of quality or anything like that. It was just attitude. It just seemed like there was a lot of players that didn't have their concentration fully in the game 100% consistent throughout from the start to finish. We were making silly, stupid little individual mistakes. You know, nothing to do with the way that the opponent's playing, just losing the ball needlessly, passing to the wrong guy, going sideways or backwards, losing your first touch, hitting it out for a throw. I mean, you know, just basics. It's our own selves, nothing to do with the opponent. If we just fix those up like we have in games prior under Graham Potter, where we looked really good, then we should be able to get a result tomorrow at Salzburg. But there's some circumstances here. We're playing away. It's in Austria. It's in Salzburg. It's not going to be easy. They are a decent team. They are. They're currently sitting just below us. We are on 7 points. They are on 6. AC Milan and Zagreb are on 4. So this is why I'm saying if we win tomorrow, we've nailed top. It's done. We've qualified and it's done. Why? Because our head-to-head with AC Milan, we've got that. Dynamo Zagreb, in case they get a result against Milan, then there's debate there. But for goals and whatnot, we are well ahead. So I just, you know, we would have the deciding factor in the final game against Dynamo Zagreb at the Bridge. So overall, we need to win. If we win tomorrow, we're in good hands. If we don't win tomorrow, then it kind of depends what's going on at the other game. And that's where we kind of got to pray that someone doesn't win and they draw too, because, you know, that way it's going to be tight and then we can take it to the final game. And as long as we win, we go through. But I want to nail top. We need to nail top of the group, because right now it's looking like in the Champions League, all the top teams are finishing top, right? So we don't want to get ourselves into a bit of a sticky situation by not finishing top and then having to be forced to play against a top team immediately, last 16. And I understand you play against the best in this competition. You will meet them eventually, but I would rather meet them in the semi-final than the last 16. So, you know, we'll wait and see what happens. But tomorrow night, going to be crucial. Now, tomorrow, game kicks off at 5:45. I have to stress this because I've made the mistake in the past where I've thought that a game is kicked off at 8 and it's kicked off long before and I've missed like half an hour. I don't want you to do the same. So 5:45 UK time is kickoff time for Chelsea because we're playing in Austria. It's not going to be an 8 p.m. kickoff. So make sure you have that in your diaries. Now, get into how we set up tomorrow. The team. There's one factor here we have to take into consideration. And this is why I look to the Man United game and I have a couple of issues with who we played. Because rotation is something now. We have to rotate. We have to. I don't want to rotate too much. We need a result. But we ultimately need a result against Brighton as well. Because we drew against Brentford. We drew against Man United. We can't keep dropping points. Look at Tottenham. You know? Look at where Newcastle are. Look at how far Man City are. They're not that far. If we just beaten Brentford and beaten Man United, we'd be in quite of a situation right now. Arsenal dropped points. We have to take advantage of these situations. So the Premier League is just as important, which means that rotating has to be done correctly and it can't be too extreme. There has to be some sort of consistency, even if it means a couple of the lads getting a little bit tired. It has to be done. We are in October. I expect them to deal with it. But it'd be stupid to keep playing the same players just constantly. You have to make a couple of changes. We've got a game midweek tomorrow. We've got a game on the weekend. We have another game in midweek after that. Then we've got a game on the weekend. There's a game every 3 days. We have to manage the squad and we have to manage the team, but we can't strip away the quality. However, there are a couple of lads in this team that I think need to be dropped for one game at least. And I've had to base what I'm going to share with you on my starting 11 also on how we set up against Man United, because there were some selection issues there that have to relate to what I'm doing now or what we're doing now, because it's only 3 days apart. So we'll get into it. Team news, funnily enough, no one at the press conference asked. We know the team news, thankfully, but the journalists got to do better. I have to say, the press conference for this was actually really short, surprisingly short. No one really asked, there weren't a lot of questions, and no one really asked anything that important to do with tomorrow's game. But for team news, we know Koulibaly didn't travel because he picked up something against Brentford. Brentford. So there's that. However, he's going to be back in training in midweek after the game. So Koulibaly, the normal absentees, Reece James, Kante, Fofana, but everyone else is available. So bearing that in mind, and bearing who played against Man United and who is looking good and who's not looking good, I've come up with a starting 11 that I think, or I would expect, against Salzburg should get a result. Although there is room for substitutions later on, just in case. So let me explain. Let's get into my starting 11. So we're starting off. In goal, it's got to be Kepa. Nothing else needs to be said there. Kepa's been absolutely outstanding. So Kepa in goal. Thiago Silva, because Koulibaly's not available. And, well, right now, I think these two are probably the best pairing of defenders that we have. Now, I'd go to a back four. Listen, we all saw what happened against Man United. We all saw it, right? Going to a back three at a game where you need to have the initiative, you need to take the initiative, you need to press, you need to go forward, you need to attack, you need to show that you are in control of the game. You don't start with a back three, right? You don't go defensive. Now, the formation doesn't ultimately, dictate how you set up your team. The formation is just the placement of the players. It doesn't really mean much. You can be attacking and have a back three. You can. But I just feel like with a back four and the correct midfield, we can take the game to a team like Salzburg. We should be able to get the job done. We done that against Man United when we shifted and we brought Kovacic on and the game changed. Briefly, right? Briefly. I stress briefly because it was only up until the end of the first half, and then Man United reacted with the substitutions and they countered what we did by bringing Kovacic on by adding an extra midfielder. So there's that. There is that tactically between the managers. However, starting from the get-go, I think we should go to a back four. I really think we should go to a back four. And there's issues, because Aspie playing at right wing back again, no. Like against Man United, I've not got really much bad to say about Aspie in that game, right? But except for his crossing, but that was everyone. But you can't expect Aspie to play right wing back game after game after game after game, especially 3 days apart. He's not got the legs for it. We have to manage him correctly. So that's one of the factors that I've taken from the Man United game that's made me make a decision here. Loftus-Cheek can be the only guy to compensate at right wing back, right? We can't have him there because we need midfield. We need midfield. Now, was he impressive against Man United? Not really, but better than Jorginho. And when Kovacic came on, it helped the both of them. Again, I feel like with the midfield, there's a certain way. So I've gone to a back four, and I feel like because of that, there's no one else that can play right back, but at least right back, he doesn't have to bomb far forward as much. So we play Aspie. I'd rather play him right back than right wing back. And if he's going to play in a back three, it has to be centre back. The centre back three would be these three, if I'm going to a back three, basically. But at that point, Loftus-Cheek's forced to go right wing back, and I need him in midfield, personally. Some of you would probably be screaming for Chukwuemeka. I wouldn't give him 90 minutes yet. Immediately, I would bring him on. I would see what happens, then bring him on. That's one of the subs that I have in mind, and I'll tell you what other subs I have in mind, just in case. So, Aspie. And on the left, I've gone with Cucurella for one reason. Last game, we saw him in the back three as a left centre-back. I would want him as a left back. Not even a left wing back, left back. Play him left back. Chilwell has played there enough, I feel like. Rotate. Put Cucurella there for one game. Can bring back Chilwell against Brighton. Or to be honest, now Cucurella plays against Brighton. And then after that, we can see who's managed it correctly. Because as far as I'm concerned, both Cucurella and Chilwell have looked very flat for me so far. The last couple of games, they've looked flat. So, look, in this, I would probably just go to Cucurella just for some speed and flexibility. But yeah, both him and Chilwell haven't been impressive. But I've got to pick one, because if not, who are we playing? Graham Potter? Anyway. Midfield, pretty evident that I would go with Kovacic and I would go with Loftus-Cheek next to him. And I just feel like that brings some stability. But Chukwuemeka is in my mind. Later on, if any of these lads are not performing as they should, and I expect Kovacic to play well, I expect Loftus-Cheek to play well alongside Kovacic. But just in case, Chukwuemeka is an option that we can bring on in midfield. Jorginho, for me, you saw how exposed he was defensively in that midfield, man. Yes, going forward, we know what he can do, but I say the same thing over and over again. I sound like a broken record at this point. He just isn't effective defensively. He can't stop transition. He's a liability when we are in transition and trying to defend. When the opponent are coming at us and they've won the ball off us because of a stupid mistake, which sometimes he's liable for, it just opens up everything, red carpet straight to the back line. We've got to be careful. We've got to be careful. And I feel like maybe this is just the best that we have right now. We need to address midfield. In the January window, I feel like we have to. Some would call for Dennis Zakaria. I would love to see Zakaria, to be honest. I don't know what he plays like. At Chelsea, we don't know. He's not been played. I would like to say play Zakaria. I just don't know what he's going to do, though. We don't know anything about him. The only man that knows anything about him is Graham Potter because he watches him in training. We don't know. We have a basis of what he done in Italy and what he done in Germany. That's it. Here in England, here in Chelsea, we don't know. So it's a tough one. I would like to say play Zakaria, but who knows? Maybe he's not performing in training. Maybe he is. He's not being given a chance. I have no idea. I have no idea. So Zakaria is another option, just to put that there in asterisks. Forward, this is where I've decided to shift things a little bit because I feel like we have to. I would go with the three behind the striker, Gallagher in the 10 role. Havertz is an option. Let's be real. Havertz is an option, but man, we've seen how poor Havertz has been. I just don't want to risk it. I want to finish top of the group, and I feel like yes, there's a chance for Havertz to play tomorrow and possibly have a good game and maybe start picking up form. It's these sort of games where maybe you start clicking, but we got to finish top. I'm scared that he plays and puts in another poor performance. And I don't want that. And I feel like Gallagher will actually put in something decent against these lot because I feel like he'd be properly up for it, which is what we need. We need energy. So Gallagher, I would give full opportunity to Pulisic on the left-hand side now. For this one, he plays 90 minutes. And on the right-hand side, I think the only guy that we can possibly go to is Mason Mount. Sterling needs to be dropped for this. Dropped. Sterling doesn't play tomorrow. For me, he doesn't play tomorrow. Unless we're in dire need and, I don't know, the game is screaming for someone of his profile, if we're 2-0 down, then okay. But for me, the only guy that we know can compensate and can do something on the right-hand side, at least by just doing the basics right, is Mason Mount. So Mason Mount, Gallagher and Pulisic in behind. Another change that I've made, I would trust this guy for this game, Armando Broja. I would play Broja tomorrow and see what he can do. Because Salzburg, I feel like, would be a better opportunity for him, especially European, than Brighton on the weekend. Premier League, pressure. Brighton can get a result against us. And it's going to be a game where Graham Potter knows those lads properly. So he's going to set things up in a way that we might not even know. But for this game tomorrow, I feel like Aubameyang, rest. Broja, go out there and prove yourself. Prove yourself, because he's got speed, he's got technicality, he's got a good eye for goal, and he can finish. With those lads behind him, I would give that a go. And if we see any struggling, cool. We've got, as I've said, Chukwuemeka, we've got Havertz, we've got Sterling, as I said, if we need to call upon him. We've got Aubameyang, if we want to bring off the bench. We've got those options there sitting ready just in case. So for me, I would go with this 11 and see what these lads are capable of. Just so then it allows good rotation, some guys to rest, and those guys that are rested to get their act in order and start performing whenever they're called upon. And also, you know, guys like Havertz, for example, if he comes on and gets a chance and maybe he can wake up. That's it. But that would be my starting 11. And score prediction, there's against Man United in my preview, I gave you guys the dreaded scoreline, didn't I? And we didn't lose. It felt like a loss though. I'm not predicting that again. I don't believe in superstition, but for your guys' sakes, in the comment section, I won't do it again. So I'm not saying 2-0, but I am going to say, you know what? A narrow 1-0 win. I'm going Salzburg 0, Chelsea 1. Short and sweet. We leave it at that. 1-0. Someone gets a goal. Not that clinical, but we're defending well. Bit cagey. 1-0. 3 points. Back to England. Thank you very much. And then bring on Brighton. So there we are. Let me know your thoughts down below. Who are you picking? What's your prediction? How do you see this setting up? Do you agree with my lineup, my ideas, the way that I see best fit? Or do you have any other ideas? Do you disagree on certain points? Let me know down below. I'd love to read it and hear it. I do read the comments. Just be sure. I do read your comments. It's impossible to reply to all of you or to like all of you. It's impossible. There's too many of you. But I do read your comments and I do flutter through. So leave your comment because I will see it. Or chances are I will see it. I can't promise. But leave them there, much appreciated, and I will see all of you after the game is said and done tomorrow. Remember, kickoff 5:45 UK time, so immediately after the game, I'll be posting my review. I'll see all of you then. Thank you all so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button if you are new. Hit the notification bell to be notified once I've uploaded. Smash the like button if you have enjoyed this, and I will see you tomorrow, people. Have a good one. Enjoy the game. See you then. Take care, and peace.